Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And it has been a real long time since I talked about any wallets. That's because I haven't gotten any. So I've kind of moved on just because I have too many and I tend to only use the same ones over and over. But a question came up. Someone wanted to kind of see what they look like now, a year or a few years later. So I thought I'd kind of go through them and just to kind of talk about how they're holding up. So I'm going to remove the metal wallets because those haven't really changed. They're still made out of metal. So we'll kind of talk about the leather ones here. Some of these I'm trying to remember now in which order I got them, but you know what? I'll probably just go through and talk about the ones. I'll go with an order of most used to least used. Maybe that'll probably be easier. So I think with no surprise, the ones that I use the most and are still my favorite are the Finnegans. So we've got this is like the regular Finnegan, and then this is the thin fin. And these are by far my most kind of widely used ones, but also probably the oldest. So we'll start with this one. So you can kind of, let me see if I can try to get as good of a light as I can on here. But this is probably the oldest. I think I actually got these two together. So you can kind of see how they're holding up. These are my oldest, but also by my most often used or heavily used. So I tend to use these. These are my favorite ones, so I tend to use these a lot. But this is the, I think it's the brown. Let me pull up the specs to remember exactly what the name of the color is. It's the Buck Brown. So this is the Buck Brown. These two are these are russet. You can kind of see the difference, but it has darkened a bit. Obviously, it's taken on a lot of kind of scuffs and scratches, and then you can kind of see, around kind of the edges, it's kind of starting to get that patina, but holding up really well. I mean, still looks, or not, should I say, still feels as it did day one. No tears, no fraying, still got many years of life left. And then this is the other Finnegan. This is the olive, I believe it's called, the olive one. And kind of same story. I got these together, so it's picked up some scuffs, scratches, but overall functionally still as good as day one. You can kind of see here, this one did kind of have some stain kind of bleed over, but not a big deal. And then this one I also did modify. So if you can kind of see, I thought the flap on it was a little too long. I didn't like when it was kind of hanging over the edge, so I kind of just did a little surgery on it. And then here we have the thin fin, which I also like a lot as well. This is the burgundy, and this burgundy I believe is actually a different style leather. Let me see if he's got it on his website, the exact. You might have to go on there, just take a look to see the name of it, but it is a very kind of English brittle. That's what it is. So it's a little bit of a kind of a hardier leather. It feels thicker. It's like more rigid compared to these. These are much more soft and kind of just like when they warm up, get very kind of just like Play-Doh, kind of very soft and mushy. Where this one stays a little bit more rigid. It's a little bit more of a rigid feeling, but it also appears to kind of, I think, have held up a little better. This one's a little newer, but nevertheless, it still basically functionally feels like brand new. This one I also did a little trimming on it because I thought that it kind of it was too wide here and I couldn't get it in all the way. It was like stopping right about here, so I like to kind of keep it very compact. So I did kind of just trim these sides down here and there just to allow it to sink deeper. And then I also did add a little black accents to it. I blacked out the lettering and the sides and the threads to kind of make it more of a little bit of a darker look. So these are the Finnegans, by far my favorite. Okay, next on the list is going to be kind of a surprise, to be honest, because this is the Cashfin. So I made a whole video about this wallet. This is a wallet that I kind of screwed up on because I didn't quite fully understand how it functioned when I got it. Now, the cash fin, the way it came is that it had a very long, like, top, and it would kind of roll over, if that makes sense. So it was a very kind of, I find it a very obnoxious kind of a wallet. It was way too long, way too big, way too bulky. It was a not for me. You know, I'm not saying it's a bad wallet. It wasn't for me. I misunderstood what it was. So I ended up, as you can see here, I cut this down to make it just a simple fold wallet. And so what I'm doing is I cut this to by half the length. I cut this slit right here as well, and then it allows it to fold like that. And then this is the original slit that it came with, because the way this worked is that it folded all the way around and folded into here. So you can kind of picture it. But again, that was my fault for not understanding. But anyway, I trimmed it, I modified it, and quite frankly, it actually ends up being probably, after the Finnegan, this is my next most widely carried wallet, because it kind of functions very similar to the Finnegan, where it kind of keeps a low profile, but I do like the cash slot here. And then you also got a little organization. So this one actually has become my second favorite wallet. And this is the Russet. So I actually have kind of this is my newest wallet. So you can kind of see new and kind of a little bit older. That one's darkened a little bit. Actually, I have two Russets. This one's a little bit older too. So maybe this one's kind of like, you can kind of see newest, middle, oldest, and kind of see a little bit of a color shift here, which is kind of cool. Actually, now that I see it, so you can kind of see how it kind of slowly changes to this color. But yeah, overall, still functionally, well, not, I shouldn't say functionally the same. This is obviously a complete different wallet in terms of how I made it work, but I still like it a lot, because again, this reminds me of the Finnegan in terms of its kind of footprint, but with more organization. You know, the cash slot, you got a little bit more here, and then you can still tuck this in, and then you actually kind of got a little quick slide here. So, you know, I always use these if I'm at the grocery store and it's kind of busy. I just, you know, slide my card back in here and head on my way, versus trying to like open my wallet. So you still got a quick slot. It opens up. So this is the cash fin, heavily modified cash fin, but this would be my next most carried wallet. Okay, so that brings us down to here. Now, truth be told, these wallets get very little wear because I use these so often. But my next one from here that I think I've used the most would probably be maybe the Franklin, or is this the Franklin or is this the Fold? I'm trying to remember now which one this is. This is the Franklin. Yeah, this is the Franklin. So this one actually I like a lot, but the only thing about this one that kind of ruined it a little bit for me, and again, you obviously know it, this is kind of a more of a budget wallet because it is easier to make. So if you notice, there's no stitching. I'm sure to do all the stitching is time consuming, where this one is simply just folded together. So you can see no stitching here, right? But what the trade-off is, then you get extra thickness. So as you can see, what normally would be just, you know, stitched here, now you have an extra piece of leather here and here. So I would kind of equate that to carrying like an extra 3 credit cards in your wallet. So these 2 extra pieces of leather is essentially you're carrying 3 extra credit cards, is how I would equate it. So if you're on a wallet diet like myself, you know, I'm a minimalist. I try to carry as little as I possibly can. I want the smallest, lightest wallet possible. So for me, that was kind of the unfortunate downfall of this wallet, was that it just added extra thickness. So for that reason, not something I carry too much, but overall I think it is a great wallet. Again, very similar to the Finnegan. I would still kind of consider this a smaller wallet. So this is the Franklin. Next on the list we have, as you can so far all these have been from Lost Dutchman, and now we're going to start getting into a couple different brands. So the next one would probably be, these are kind of close. So these are Open Sea Leather. This is actually my very first like craft wallet, if you want to if you want to call it that. that was actually kind of my first dip into kind of the craft wallet game, was with this Hobei. That was, overall, it was my first one and certainly liked it. To be honest, I'm not sure why I don't carry this on more often, because this wallet maintains a pretty compact footprint and it has a lot of organization. I think what I always kind of, my negative thing about this wallet has always been that it's just a little bit thicker than it needs to be, because you can see you put a card in there, it just leaves, a ton of room here. I mean, that was always my gripe with this wallet, why I probably didn't use it. I just don't think it's efficiently built. Now I know it's for cash, so you can put, money without folding it theoretically, but I'm not a cash guy. So I wish this wallet was made with this footprint. It would have been perfect because you get all this organization. But for that reason, just not a wallet that I use a whole lot. I do like it. I think it's it's kind of got the same footprint as the Big Fin, but much thinner and easier to carry. So if you're someone that kind of likes your larger type of wallets, you carry cash, I definitely would recommend the Hobei over the Big Fin, but that's this one. So this one's probably almost 2-3 years old now. This is the first one I got, but you can see it still looks very good just because I don't carry it a whole lot, so it doesn't have a whole lot of patina on it. But the one thing it has kind of thinned out. I feel like it was a little bit more thicker. I think the leather is kind of maybe dried out, so it kind of feels a little thinner, but nevertheless it's held up well. And then the next one would be the Gundek, another one that I used to carry more often before I got some of the other ones. So this one I do like a lot as well. It's a little better. I kind of like it better than the Hobei because it is a little bit more of a better footprint. So you can kind of see money folds in a half like this. Then you got a couple slots for credit cards and tucks in nicely. So this one, actually, to be honest, I'm shocked I haven't used it more often because it is, again, kind of in that small footprint, So, now that I'm kind of holding it, maybe I might put it into the rotation more, because I do feel like this one deserves more pocket time than it really has. It's just that it came in an early time where I started getting all these, so they kind of quickly got pushed aside. But this one actually is one that I've kind of undervalued, but nevertheless, still looks good. It's the blue one. Not much to say about it. Still looks like, obviously it hasn't been carried much, but overall looks good. It has darkened a little bit. I don't know if there's any spots I can show where maybe some leftover, but it was a little lighter blue when I got it, so it has darkened a little bit. But yeah, still looks good. I do like the Gundek. I might actually, now that I have it, might maybe put it into use here sometime soon. Then we're here. Next one will be the Johnny wallet. This is kind of another one that actually I think I should use more often than I do, but this one also kind of falls victim to the same fate as the Hobei, that it's just more wider than it needs to be. So once again, you put a card in there, you got just more room than you need to. That's why I've always liked these Finnegans, because they're just more efficiently built, So same fate with this one. I think if it was just a little bit narrower, it would definitely be a top wallet for me, because it's also got some good features. You have a little bit of organization here. There is a flap down there. It's hard to see, but there is a flap down there that allows you to separate a little bit. And you got the cash slot, or you can put cards there as well. So it's a clever wallet, but again, I'm not a big cash carrier, and for me, again, was just a little on the wider side, but it's always felt nice. It's a very kind of thin leather, so it has a very light, thin feel, but you can kind of see how that one's aged as well. It was olive green, and I believe it obviously was a little bit lighter, but nevertheless, still looks good. And that brings us to our next two wallets. So I can't remember exactly why I got this one, but this is Wild Leather. It's actually a leather maker out of Poland. At the time, I just thought it would be cool to try a bifold. That's a little bit more minimal. So it's a very thin bifold. You know, a bifolds can get a little thicker, and this one kind of helps maintain a very kind of thin profile. It is kind of more focused for cards. I mean, obviously, you always stick cash in here as well, but I've always thought this would be kind of a good traditional type of wallet, but yet at a thin profile. So unfortunately, just haven't had a chance to use it a whole lot. You know, again, once I kind of got into the Finnegan, I took a back seat. And that leaves us the Big Fin. So this is my newest wallet. So it's still got a very kind of bright russet color. But unfortunately, it's my least favorite one. No fault to its own. It's just too big for me. You know, this is a very beefy wallet. I don't even carry a lot. I don't have a lot of stuff to carry that would even fill this thing out. So just for me, it's just a little much. However, for those that are very kind of, you know, pack heavy with their wallets, I can definitely see this being a good choice for them. But for me, it was just a little too big. I mean, you can actually fit the Finnegan in there if you want. So there you go. So you can kind of see it's a big wallet. Too big for me, but definitely quality. I mean, it's basically this wallet just blowing up, right? So if you like this one and you want more room, then certainly this would be an option. But yeah, this one obviously not a whole lot to show, as it's still relatively newer. And when I say newer, I don't know, maybe it's close to a year old. I think maybe it's about a year old. I think maybe I got it around last Black Friday or the holidays. So this one's approaching a year old. But like I said, you know, I probably used this for a week. When I first got it, I carried it for about a week, but you know, it's just too big. I mean, in the wintertime, when I have a winter coat on, I could, you know, not a big deal, but there's just no way I can carry this like in a warmer climate when I don't have a whole lot of pockets to carry this thing. So yeah, that's the quick summary on the wallets. I know that I've gotten a ton of feedback on a lot of different wallets you guys have recommended to try, and I certainly would love to try more, but I just have too many. So I don't anticipate getting anytime soon. Maybe I will, but at the end of the day, I just like these so much that, or not this one, where's the other one? I'm just a big fan of these Finnegans that, you know, it's going to be hard to replace them, or hard to find something that's going to drastically be better. I'm sure there's some things that are just as good, but I've been just really content with these. These work really well for me. Like I said, I tend to carry a very minimal amount of stuff, you know, driver's license, couple, 2-3 credit cards, health insurance card, you know, I mean, I carry like 6 or 7 cards with a couple of bills. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.